Hi and welcome to another LRCC Soundbite. Today I've got a story of love, a story of intrigue, a story of betrayal and a story of bravery. Last week I said a little bit about what God's people had done, the Israelites, when they disobeyed God and they were taken away into exile. Some of them found themselves in Persia. There came a time when the king of Persia was looking for a new queen, and all the beautiful young women in the land were brought to the palace. Sounds like something out of Cinderella, doesn't it? But this was a little different. They were there for more than a year, and after being given extensive beauty treatments one by one, they would go and see the king. One of them was a young Jewish girl. Her name was Esther. Her cousin, a man called Mordecai, who had looked after her because her parents were no longer with them, he suggested to her that she didn't mention that she was Jewish, so she didn't. Now, when the king met her, he was totally besotted and decided that she was going to be the new queen. It's great. It's a nice ending to the story, isn't it? But no, this was just the beginning. You see, sometime later, her cousin Mordecai overheard a plot to kill the king. So he passed the message on to Esther, who in turn told the king, and the king's life was saved. Great, another happy ending. No. Next, another guy comes along, a rather nasty guy. His name was Haman, but he was liked by the king, and he was made second in command of the kingdom. Now, Haman liked this. He liked people bowing down to him, but found that there was a troublesome Jew around, a guy called Mordecai, who refused to bow down to him. Simple as that. Mordecai took a stand. He said, "I'm only going to bow down to God." So Haman came up with a plan and decided that genocide was the answer. So got a law made and approved by the king to kill all the Jews on a particular day. Trouble is, Esther's a Jew. But the king doesn't know this, and neither does Haman. So now we get to the brave bit. Esther went to see the king. Nothing strange about that, you might think, but actually it wasn't allowed. The law said you could only go and see the king if he called for you. If you dared to go at any other time, you would be killed. Esther hadn't been called, but she did go. Unfortunately for her, the king was pleased to see her, and he held his sceptre out to her. That was the sign that she wouldn't be executed. And the king asked, "What do you want?" And he was prepared to give her almost anything. So she asked if he and Haman would come for dinner. The king agreed, so the three of them sat down to eat that evening. Still, Esther wouldn't tell the king what she really wanted. Even though he asked and pressed her, all she would do was invite them to come for dinner again the following day. In the meantime, Haman was getting really, really angry with Mordecai, and he planned to have him killed. But that backfired on him because he ended up being humiliated by the king, Haman did, by being forced to honour Mordecai in front of everybody. The king had no idea what was going on, but Haman was furious. Anyway, the evening came, and they went to dinner again, and this time Esther told the king what the problem was. She told him that someone had planned and was planning to have her and all her people killed. The king was angry and said, who would do such a thing? And she pointed at Haman and said, "This man here has ordered that me and all my people are put to death." The king was beyond furious, and Haman ended up being executed immediately. Later, Mordecai would become a trusted friend of the king, and he took over Haman's place. He also ended up issuing a new law, because the old one couldn't be repealed, but he could issue a new law, allowing the Jews to defend and protect themselves. This young girl, Esther, she became pivotal in saving the Jews from annihilation because God put her and her cousin in just the right place at just the right time. God can be like that, you know. Sometimes when it seems all hope is lost, we find that he's put just the right person in just the right place. As we sometimes say, for just a time as this. That's actually a quote from the Bible, from this story. As a Christian, I trust that God has a plan and will ultimately result in the right things happening. I may not see the whole picture all the time, but I do trust him. And stories like this help me to keep that faith. There's a lot to this story. It's a brilliant story. And if you want to read it for yourself, there's a whole book of the Bible that just tells it. If you don't have a copy and you would like one, just let us know. If you live near us, then I can drop a free copy round to you and point you at this story. I hope you have a great week. God bless you.